I'm not used to having this many people in the room. It's been me by myself and Samantha. All right, we'll call this meeting to order, the regularly scheduled Tuesday, July 27th meeting of the Lodgers Tax Advisory Committee. First item on the agenda, the roll call. Go through the list. Sam, do you want me to call it, or?
I can do it for
Okay.
you. Member Dozier? Present. Member Robertson? Present. Member Cheney?
Here.
Chairman Ritchie? Sorry.
Here.
Do we have any on Zoom that have logged in?
Nobody on Zoom but us.
Okay, Chairman, that is all recorded present. You do have a quorum.
All righty, thank you. Do we have any from our committee, any known conflicts of interest with regard to the agenda today, especially the discussion and possible action? None? Okay, Samantha, do you want to?
Yes, so our next is the certification of compliance with Resolution 2021-01, that we posted this in compliance with the Opens Meeting Act.
Okay, thank you very much. All of us have had a chance to look over the agenda. Do we need to approve that? Okay, do I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I make motion to approve today's agenda.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor? All right. Next item, approval of minutes from the special meeting of May 12th, 2021. If you've had a chance to look over that, I know there were two of you that were here, so if you have a motion and a second, then we'll.
I make motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, second?
I second.
All righty, so approval of the minutes passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll abstain since I wasn't here. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, moving on, quarterly updates, Parks and Recreation and Convention Center. Let you guys decide how you want to proceed.
Here with us today is Cindy Mowry. She's with the Parks and Rec Department, and you have a new title. What was that? I'm sorry.
The Events and Recreation Supervisor.
That's good.
Hello? Yeah, the Event and Recreation Supervisor. Yes. Do we just?
So, yes, they have printed copies of your presentation.
Okay. So the first is the Ritos Adventure Tours. We had our first kickoff tour July 17th at Wingfield Park. We had live music, we had food vendors, we had arts and craft vendors. There was a little bit of rain, but we persisted. It was a pretty good event. I mean, it has, barring the rain, we had all of the sweepstake prizes out on display. We have another one that is coming up in August 21st that's going to be in Midtown, along as well as the September 25th one will be in Midtown as well, all gearing up to our October 11th one, which is going to be back at Wingfield Park, where we will be announcing the sweepstakes winners for the tours. And then for the capital projects, we have the Cree Meadows Trail. The construction started in July. The completion date is supposed to be around September 2021. We have the Moon Mountain Trail, the design to be completed in June. Then we have the Links Trail, which is going to be the fall of 21, and then the Midtown Speaker Series. The delivery is expected any day, where the staff will coordinate the installation on the light poles. We also have about 20,000 trail maps that we're in the process of ordering. And then we are also working on creating disc golf specific maps. That project is in way right now. And then for this summer, we've actually had quite a lot going on. We have our Wingfield Farmers Market every Saturday at Wingfield Park from 9 to 1, where we have live music, we have arts and craft vendors, produce, kids games. It's a pretty cool event. We have our wilderness weekends, which starting the weekend after July 4th, so that was July 9th, every Friday and Saturday, we've done a different themed wilderness camp for kids ages from 7 to 12. So we did one at Wingfield where we did a mini Summer Olympics. We had one at Alto where we taught them how to fish. We took them swimming. We did one at Moon Mountain in correlation with our archery tournament. So we had them out teaching them archery. We had little animal tracks. So we had them learning about animals. It was really cute. We have the Whibbit in the pool constantly running out at the lake. Well, the Whibbit out the lake and the pool. We were able to do a youth softball camp and a youth volleyball camp with both guest coaches that come in, and they both of them were amazing. We had Leah Mosier, alumni from Ruidosa, teaching the volleyball. Sarah Plowd, she is a fast pitch coach out in Dayton. She came and helped us with the softball. That was wonderful. We had our marathon on June, the end of June. We had about 150 participants, which how hard this race is the altitude in those hills it's a pretty good turnout. It's a rough race. And then we're gonna have our Grindstone Trail Race September 11th, and we're also gonna have a C10 car show at Wingfield Park, which is just, not car, truck. The C10 is just classic trucks. We're gonna have that. They're estimating between 75 and 100 trucks that are gonna be out there at Wingfield in September as well. So yeah, I think that was, yep. I could talk all day about our programs, but that's the gist.
Yeah, my kids have done the wilderness weekends. They love it.
Awesome, yay.
A lot of fun. The trail maps, is that like hiking and ATV, or is it a combination? Is it just hiking, or how do those work?
From my impression, I think it is just the hiking,
Okay.
but I can double check on that.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple questions. Cindy, on the D-Track attendance on like that first event in Wingfield on July 17th?
The Wingfield, we don't have like an accurate number. Because of the rain, I would say we had anywhere between 25 people out continuously. The market that morning was really amazing. We had the stage and all that, but the rain came in at 2 when the event started, and it rained pretty much the whole time.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry I'm coming in, new to some of this stuff, but on the speaker project, what's the plan with regard to some of those venues like mine that play music? Is there going to be a time when those are shut off? They're going to run a certain hour? Can you kind of give me a quick down and dirty on that? If not you, then anybody?
I was gonna say, I don't have that exact.
Samantha probably.
Okay.
We had several meetings about them as well, so I think she
I can touch on it. So they would be throughout the district. And say you all had a band, we would have the ability to turn off the speaker where you were located. But if you didn't have music that day, then we would turn it on. So we would work with each business to make sure that.
So at this
We're not
point, like,
impacting
when are they going to turn on and when are they going to turn off, just in general?
We haven't had set times, but we were talking about just during the period when the businesses were open. So probably like 10 to 6-ish, around there.
Okay, thank you.
The goal is to kind of, like I had talked about when we were in Crested Butte, they have them. And it's not anything that's in your face and loud. And you think of like Flying J Ranch, where it's just kind of this background deal. So
Yeah, like Uptown Albuquerque, and there's lots of venues that do it, and it's cool. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
But yeah, I remember the neat thing about this is that we can shut off independently in certain areas, and so.
Mr. Chairman, to answer your question about the trail maps, right now, we're just doing a reprint because we've been completely out of them for quite
Right.
some time. And so we're doing a reprint of what the cartographer has so that our lodgers and the chamber can
yeah.
have trail maps. And then he is going to do, or is in the process of doing an update where we can add the ATV
Okay.
trails to that. And then we have that in a line item to do another print within the fiscal year.
Okay. Would that be something we'd be able to, I don't know if it's been discussed, but, there's certain businesses that could just come in and just wipe them out. I mean, is there a way can we advertise on there? Or is it not?
I think the way, if I remember, it's been so long since I've seen one, I think we've got both sides are taken with maps.
Okay. All righty.
But I'll look into that and get back to you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Tracy will present for the other half for the convention center.
Tracy, go ahead.
Okay,
Thanks for being here
if
today.
y'all have noticed, I'm back. And on the first quarter, we only had June. Let's see, January, February, March. No, the second quarter, we only had June. We were open, I think we opened the 6th, is the first day that the convention center was open. And we had, in June, we had cattle growers, New Mexico higher education, New Mexico counties, and then we had the big, the legislators, the New Mexico Legislature Finance Committee was here for a week, which was a, very good thing for us, we got to do. And then we had Republican women and West Texas pastors. And it didn't generate really a whole lot of money for the convention center, but we did an economic impact study, and that's what's in your packet, if you'll notice it. And how we came across this is Steve Talley and Katie and I kind of got together and kind of made where you can multiply it, and we put it all this, let me see if I can find it, so I can tell you exactly. And so we have a multiplier per the people that attended the event. And that's people getting out in the community and spending money.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 160 for hotel, 8% for, 5% for lodger's tax, and we put it $50 for fuel, and $80 for food and beverage, $40 for shopping and entertainment, and then $29 for the GRT tax. So it came out to $367, and then you multiply that by the attendees, and that figure was amazingly large. It's like $3 million just for the month of June, and that was a very, very slow month for us. And so we thought that was like really amazing, and a lot of these groups only meet like for half a day, and then they let their people go out to the community and shop and take their children to the events, and stuff, which is wonderful for the community. And our month coming up is going to be slow again. We had a really good July, very busy, but August is slower, and but January, the phone's ringing off the hook, getting everybody back in, and all the groups that we used to have are all booking back in, and it's going to be a wonderful year next year. So I guess that's really all I have, if anybody has any questions. Are we? Nope. Good.
That's awesome, though. Glad you're back.
Oh, yeah,
But you are
thank
too.
you. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, moving on. Judy Starkovich will give us our quarterly financial report.
And good morning, committee. When we're looking at lodger's tax, we did end up 14.36% over prior year. Unfortunately, I can't connect to the computer at my office for some reason, but we ended up almost with 1.6 million in cash. So we are in a good spot. So as soon as I can log in, I will actually send you all the ending fiscal year report. And then again, we were compiling the figures for July yesterday. We weren't finished, but it looks to be a pretty good month already. So, oh, you have them? Okay.
Stephanie sent me an update this morning as well,
Okay.
and there's still about 50 short terminals that haven't reported, and then Avalera hasn't reported. And this past month was the high over the last 10 years.
Right. For June.
Over, yes, reporting over 201,000 so far.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah, so we are starting off, excuse me, and so it's starting off a good year. I think it picked up like around April, and we've been seeing a high ever since, so we're in a good position. This week, in fact, today, we're starting all the rollovers of the projects, all the construction projects that started in last fiscal year that will roll over to this year. some of the projects like Eagle Creek, Alto, Grindstone, will be finishing up this year. So even though we ended with a pretty good chunk of change, that's not money to spend. A lot of it is already spoken for, so.
Correct.
If you have any other questions? No?
Judy, why don't you talk a little bit about the change in the GRT?
Oh. Okay, we set aside money in the budget for anybody that wanted to apply, do you remember that?
For other events?
For other events, was that spoken for, did anybody else apply?
For it, do we know?
Not yet.
So there is money budgeted for events, and I think there is some money set aside for new events that are coming around.
Okay.
So if there is somebody that's thinking about starting a new event or anything like that, they can download an application off the website.
Okay.
And there are some funds available.
Okay, because I know one or two did, but that was all I knew of.
If I remember correctly, we doubled it, or we added basically the same, and it was kind of also for, there were a lot of people back in April, May or events that didn't know if they'd be able to go off during the summer, and maybe they'd come back in the fall, or they come back in early winter, and so that was just there to, in case somebody said, well, we can't have it in June, or I'm sorry, not June, July, we can do it later in the year, so.
Right.
So that shouldn't have been touched at all, because we haven't
Okay.
met.
So the issue that Village Manager Dodge brought up is that in reviewing a lot of the lodger's tax payments and some of the gross receipts tax payments, there was notice that your big companies like Airbnb, VRBO, they were not paying our full gross receipt rate, which is the 8.4375. Of that rate, 5% is automatically sent to the state off the top of that 8.435. And then the state turns around and gives us back out of that 5% 1.225. And so lodger's tax is subject to that GRT, while the big companies were only paying an online or a compensating tax, which is also 5%. But when they submit that compensating tax to the state, the village doesn't get our portion of the 1.225. The state keeps the whole 5%. So for the past few years, we haven't been getting the gross receipts tax that we're due if they paid the regular 8.4375. So they have since figured that out. And so beginning now in July, the companies are applying those ratios correctly now. So GRT is on a 2-month lag. So when you go to the store and you pay the gross receipt tax, the vendor has another month before he submits it to the state, and then they have another month before they get it back to us. So when you go to the vendor, we have to wait 2 months before we get that money. So because they started in July, we won't be seeing that additional gross receipts tax until September, which is fine, at least we're getting it now. So we're estimating, I believe Tim has estimated that it could bring about 100,000 more into GRT into the community per month. So that's good.
That's big. Wow. Better late than never.
Yeah, we don't want to look back because when you start adding up,
I know.
you don't want to look back that way, so we'll just look forward.
Yeah. It's kind of like the first month that they remitted lodger's tax, and it was huge. And remember, for us.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, whoa, we've been losing this for years.
I know, we've been losing this.
All right.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
I just want to point out the reporting, Judy reporting that lodger's tax performed at 2.1 million and a little bit of change, but, that's a banner high.
Yeah.
Previously, I think, the high was 1.8, the prior year, before it wasn't in effect. And then, prior to that, it was right about 1.4.
Yeah.
So, it's grown to 2.1. And as you look at the numbers that came in this past month so far, I think the 10-year high was 180,000 over the last 10 years. That's the best June that there was before. So right now, you're at that 201,000 or something like that. and a couple, several different vendors are still out, haven't paid their lodging tax. So I'm anticipating you're gonna end up, close to 220, 230 for this past month. That's almost 45,000 over your record high. So, that kind of shows where the industry's going. One of my big concerns, and I know that you all are feeling it, is workforce. And that's one of the big things that we're gonna be focused on this coming year. There's some creative things that we're talking about on how we can address that issue. You're gonna hear more of that coming from us within the next couple of months and the efforts that we're gonna be making. So I just wanna let you know you guys are doing excellent. All the lodgers are performing excellent, you're doing a great job, but somehow we need to make sure that we get more workforce to go.
Yeah. That's the big one. All right. Thank you, Manager Dodge. Thank you, Judy. Let's see, next on the agenda, the agency, social, digital, PR, and creative. I'll turn it over to Kelly and Carrie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Lodgers Tax Board. Okay, we have, in your packets, we have our presentation for you guys, which I promise you will go through quick. The first page there, we just kind of did our top 5 findings for the whole year. And number one, won't surprise anybody that COVID impacted everything that we did as well as everything you guys did. The municipal website and Facebook page saw significant growth, and that is because it just became we kind of turned it into a COVID resource for the community and a way to disseminate information. The tourism website saw a decrease in our 55 and over traffic, but an increase in 18 to 45, which kind of matches the trend that we saw in travel trends, because that older age group kind of locked down and wasn't traveling a lot. And the traffic to the calendar events page, lodging page decreased, but attractions, campgrounds, cabins, condos, that increased, which again matched what we saw across the board. And we had an increase in fans, impressions, and traffic to the website and social on both the tourism and municipality sites, but a slight decrease in engagement. And then again, I think we just saw that, what Ruidoso offers is we have lots of outdoor space, outdoor activities, lots of room to roam. And so people were looking for that as we saw COVID numbers increase, decrease, increase, decrease. So there was just lots to do here. I'm going to do a quick hit on the websites, both tourism and the municipal site. Some of you may have noticed we did a new homepage design for the Village of Ruidoso. It had become very cluttered on the homepage, and those of us that were on it a lot knew where to go to find things, but we were getting feedback. Where do I find this? Where do I find this? So there's a screenshot that just kind of shows you how we simplified it, put icons, and those are directly correlated with the most searched pages. And so we match that with the analytics on the site of what people went to the site to find the most. And then we added to the top nav bar a how do I button, which you see on the page right behind it. And so if you go to the how do I button, this is what you'll find, and you can see all these questions. How do I apply for this, pay for this, find this, contact so-and-so. And so I think it just makes for an overall better user experience. Hopefully it does. And then we added the social media feed down at the bottom. So even if, a lot of people don't have social media, but in the instance of the flood, if you don't have social media, that's where we're updating the most. And so you can go to the website and you can follow the every 20, 30-minute social media posts that we're putting out on the website. And even though you don't have to have Facebook. the next page is just an example of what the COVID Resource Center looked like on the municipal page. And then the traffic numbers are there where you can see the trend of how our numbers were up in visits, page views, and unique visitors throughout the year. And then you see the popular content, no surprise, COVID, COVID, COVID. Then in tourism, that just kind of mimics what I said in the top findings, that you did see our traffic go down a bit. And again, the popular content was COVID and places to stay. And then just gave you a synopsis of the websites that are managed by the agency. And the newest one we did was we did a dedicated site for the radio station. And so that was just to show you what we had done there. And then the next couple of pages, few pages actually, are the overall, the report that we pulled from Cision so that you could see our media coverage. And again, remember that this is the media that we did not pay for.
Right.
So this is all PR. And on the very first page, the reach, which is the graph right in the middle, that's an important one to look at, that our overall reach that we had in media was 9.6 million. And the publicity value for that, which is the next graph over, comes to almost $500,000. So you add that to what we actually paid for, and that is a good number for us. And then I'm not going to go through the other graphs there because I'm sure you can do that on your own, but we had a good year. We had lots of, there is, actually, I'm just going to point out one quick thing. If you look on there's a graph in there of sentiment over time, and you always want to look at, if you ever have more red than green or blue, you're not in good shape, because red means negative coverage. And so you can see on that we're sitting good. So we had a good year media-wise. So I will take any questions up to that point before I turn it over to Kelly to go through social.
I'm assuming the spikes are all fire and snow,
Yes. Fire, snow,
flood.
flood. There are no locusts in there yet,
No.
but they may be coming. With COVID on them.
Those hornets, maybe those killer hornets.
Does anybody have any questions for Carrie?
Okay.
Carrie?
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go through the creative and social portion. I know in the past we've talked about the tourism side and the municipality side separate, but for the purposes of today, we went ahead and combined them because so much of what we did this last year due to COVID was intermingled. So as Carrie mentioned in the beginning, we were up pretty significantly in overall impressions and then in traffic to the website. Our engagement was down a little bit. Some of that is just, we weren't, because of COVID, it wasn't as much, feel-good content, not as much engagement. People weren't necessarily as active on our page in that regard, but we were up in terms of our growth, our impressions, our overall traffic to the website. So we were unable to retrieve all your data at this time. Warning on that page. That just means that in November is when I added the Pinterest account to our tracking. And so that it doesn't pull back data. So that's what I just wanted to point out, that's what that warning is. So the way we pulled the report together for this year is we kind of grouped it based off quarter and what the overall sentiment was in the world and in the state and in COVID. So in Q1 of last year, the restrictions were lifted a little bit, and so we really jumped on that and pushed for fall. Throughout the entire year, our focus still was on wearing a mask, Radio So Safe,
those COVID-safe practices. But when we were given a little bit of room and the travel restrictions were lifted a little bit, we went ahead and did a pretty heavy push for the fall, and so you'll see some of that throughout. The other thing we highlighted throughout the year is kind of what Carrie mentioned of there's room to social distance here, be outside, so for folks that are wanting to get away. So you can see our impressions from July through September of last year. They were up, and especially as we moved into August and September, that increase based off our increase in terms of advertising. So I've provided just a few little screenshots of some COVID updates we provided on the village side. Again, just being a source of information. And then some of the digital ads from that quarter, as I said, focusing on outdoors, focusing on getaways. The other thing we did in the fall was talk about staycation. So I don't know if you recall, but at the time it was New Mexico, a lot of New Mexico focus. So we did a big push across the state to try to get people to take a staycation, if you will. So some of the print ads that we had last year, I've included here for Q1. They're all the New Mexico Magazine and Holloman Air Force. Those are buys we've done in the past. The Arizona Cardinals yearbook was a new buy for us. And so I wouldn't say Q1 was normal by any means because nothing was normal about last year, but in terms of our advertising, it felt like we had a little bit more room to roam, if you will. So then moving into Q2, in October, same thing, fall events didn't necessarily happen, but we were still pushing for fall. And then when the next round of stay at home happened, we shifted the Ruidoso Safe campaign and updated the creative to include the first responders. And so the idea that protect them so they can protect you, because if the entire fire department or police department goes down with COVID, then we have an issue. So we still were focused mainly on locals, visitors, and then also New Mexico. One of the things that we did throughout the year was a retargeting campaign. So people who have visited our sites before, we wanted to give them an idea of what to expect when they came. And so, still talking about wearing a mask, still talking about social distancing. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So you can see our impressions were down in October through December. The little spikes we did have were related to snow events. And so just across the board, everything was much more related to COVID. You can see that on the new municipality page. And then even our digital ads that we were running at the time were the first responders, wear a mask. I'm sure you noticed at the Y in town, we switched the billboard to also the one with the masks of the first responders. And then the activity that we did do on social, through this whole first part of the year, it was more brand awareness than it was a call to action of booking your trip, and especially during this time. So, we talked about snow, but in the past we would be like, it's snowing and book a place to stay. It was just like, oh, it's snowing. So we didn't have necessarily that call to action like we usually do. But going back to the staycation and focusing on interstate travel, we did do some ads for road tripping from Albuquerque, and I'll talk more about those road trips as we go through the year. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things I want to point out is that, through the COVID response, the change in services that were happening with the agency, we tracked those separately. And then as we wrote the CARES grant, we refunded those resources back to the lodger's tax. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that we work closely with them and track the resources as a result of that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, our, as you could see on the websites, that tourism was down a little bit, municipality was up a lot. And a lot of that also was reflected in the work that Carrie and I were doing in terms of social. The Facebook page on the municipality side was very active, not always positive, but very active throughout the year, definitely related to COVID. So we used I going back to where we were in Q2, we have an example of a print ad we did in the Dallas Mavericks yearbook. That was also a new buy for last year. I included the Pinterest in here. I know I've talked about that a couple quarters back, but that was something that we've ramped up on just as a place that people go to plan trips. So that was the first half of last year, and then moving into Q3 is when the red to green became more prominent in our lives. So we continue to focus on wearing a mask, Doritos So Safe, but we also were able to start ramping up, and as we moved into yellow or turquoise, or yellow to green rather, we did a push for spring break. Once indoor dining was opened, that really made things feel a little bit more normal. And so this is when we started the campaign, Far Away, Close to Nature. And so we took a little bit more proactive call to action approach that we're ready for you to come, but let's do it safely. You can see our impressions, especially compared to the previous quarter, were up over 50% during that time. There was also a shift here in terms of social posts on the municipality side. We went from, just mainly COVID updates to working with countywide, and maybe Carrie can talk a little bit about this initiative, but focusing on testing. That was when we were really trying to get our test positivity rate, and so working with the different communities on where testing was available with the curative sites.
And we just did that every week. We would update and make collateral for all the communities listed there. And we did it in English and in Spanish so that they could post in the community. And we made posters, emails, and social collateral so that they could get the word out. And we were starting to ramp down on that, and then unfortunately we have started doing that again for everyone. So we'll continue the Together Lincoln County, but that's what that all of that creative is for.
The other thing that we started focusing on was vaccines and vaccination rate. And one of the things as a team tourism started talking with the state about was that at the time, we had a pretty good vaccination rate. So people weren't getting tested because they were vaccinated. So why would you go get tested was the thought. So talking to them about the need to include the vaccination rate as part of the red to green to turquoise to purple framework. And so we continue to push the vaccines through that and working with the state through our channels with the tourism department to try to get that included into that overall rate and overall ranking. So some of the digital ads in that time, I mentioned we did the focus on indoor dining being available, continuing to do the Far Away, Close to Nature. We also did a campaign in the spring targeting retirees or people of the age of retirement, because one of the things we were seeing nationwide was that people were maybe taking an early retirement or taking, that might have planned on working 5 more years, but then COVID hit and they're like, no, I'm just, gonna call it quits. And so we did a push both digitally and then print in New Mexico Magazine. They had a whole issue on retiring in New Mexico, and so we ran an ad on that. And so to target that demographic that maybe we didn't see throughout the year due to COVID, but as they start to think about retiring and travel again, that was one of our campaigns. I mentioned
Also because they were the first ones to get vaccinated.
Yes.
And they were fully vaccinated, and so they were the group that was out traveling first.
That was our other reasoning for that. With things opening up a little bit, we also did a big push for spring break, kind of like a last minute, there's still time to plan, kind of in that same, some people were being vaccinated, thinking about spring break, or they were looking for a driving location, a driving spring break. So we also targeted college kids like we have the last few years on that. I mentioned the print ads. There's those that from New Mexico Magazine, the retirement ad. The other thing we started becoming more active on during this time was both TikTok and Instagram Reels. So our TikTok, I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. TikTok page is growing. And we talked to the state, and they were doing an audit of all of our social media channels last spring. And we're one of the first destinations or municipalities to actually be on TikTok and to be active on TikTok. So we feel pretty good about that. We continue to post there, and just targeting a different audience, different generation than maybe on our Facebook page. And then the same thing with Instagram. With so much of it becoming more video focused, we've moved to doing more reels and more video on that page, and have seen some really good growth there. And then in Q4, we're finally open. And so, still pushing that safety message, but we're ready for you to discover it safely. We shifted really from that brand awareness to more of a call to action, like plan your trip. We also focused on road trips and wide open spaces. So on the Discover page, we've built out road trip maps from different destinations. So we have some that you would expect, like El Paso or Las Cruces, Austin, Oklahoma City, Albuquerque. But then we've also added some that we've seen kind of growing up in our list of places. So Denver, Salt Lake City, to try to get some of those other audiences. And so you can see in terms of impressions, we did a really big push in April. And the reason why the impressions dropped down so much is the types of ads we were running just shifted a little bit. So for the first part, we were still trying to have that reach, that brand awareness. And then we shifted more to a call to action, or trying to drive people to the website. And so that's why the targeting of those ads was just a little different, and that's why there was a drop off there in May. The municipality updates were a lot of the same. We had the fire, the ball field fire that we were both on scene for that, and providing updates while we were out there. And then the digital ads, to keep with those same things, talking about summer, planning your summer trip. Camping was another one that we focused on. We also did the Whibbit, horse racing. The fact that last summer there weren't fans in the stands at the track, and that this year there were, we wanted to really get the word out about that, because it is, we get a big increase in traffic, as you guys know, over the summer for people wanting to go to the track. So we did some advertising on that. And then also, as they're being more active on their trip planning, we did a push for the app. The other thing that we did, we changed out from the masks at the Y. We updated it to the mural that's in Midtown. The piece is done by a local artist, Michael Fish. And so he gave us permission to use the art on that billboard, and kept we added the Discover to keep with our Discover Ruidoso theme. Some of the other things, just with having money left in the budget and being able to be more proactive in our advertising and push for summer, we got some out-of-home set up in El Paso and in Phoenix. And Carrie will talk more about advertising later on when we get into the next fiscal. But the other thing we have in both those markets was an escape the heat ad, and it had the temperature on it. I know that some of you might be familiar that they did that many years ago. They ran some ads like that, but we updated that in those markets. The other thing that we talked about, I know we've talked about in past, was the recovery readiness through the New Mexico Tourism Department. And that was a program, basically they took the co-op dollars that they usually set aside and provided a bunch of free services for different communities. And so one of them was they came down and did a photo and video shoot in masks that we could use back in the spring. And so we had one shopping in Midtown. We did a kind of a live, work, play, remote work one. And then we had one that was outdoors. The other thing they did is they've been providing some additional content, pulling from their resources and scheduling it out on a platform called Hey Orca. And so just providing some user-generated content and then files from their archives that we can share on our pages. And then the other thing that they did was through the, with the Google DMO program, so there's a couple different phases of that. But basically, they've had Google come through and do a street view of Ruidoso. They've done some 360s, and they're putting together some virtual tours. And so I should have more information on that, hopefully by the next meeting, and hopefully a lot of that is live by then. But they just basically have been in, since we weren't able to promote events like they have in the past, they shifted those dollars to digital and other assets they could provide. And then I've just included a few goals. Some of these we've also were included in our comprehensive plan from back in the spring that that the department worked together with the village to put together. And so I'm not going to read all those, but just to give you a little bit of idea of our focus for the upcoming year. Still continue to do Reels and TikTok and obviously monitoring the overall trends in digital and trends with COVID in general. Any questions on kind of the last year or as we look forward? Carrie's going to talk a little bit more about this upcoming fiscal, but.
We do have to say thank you because it seemed like it didn't matter if you posted about masks or snow. About 3 comments in on Facebook, every time it would turn into this, I mean, it was toxic. And the both of you did a terrific job of kind of monitoring and taking care of comments and responding to comments that were really hate-filled at times. And so I know that's
It's been a hard year to be in social.
that's at times a thankless job, but it was, you did a very, very good job because there were times that some of those comments, if you were an outsider, you would think, man, I'm not going there to go visit Ruidoso. That sounds like a toxic place. And the way you were able to deflect and continue going, we do appreciate that very, very much.
One of the sad or hard things was and COVID in general, but just, and you mentioned the hate filled, but the hatred towards some of our visitors that we had experienced from locals, and then from our visitors angry at the state, it was not always.
And you're in the
pleasant.
middle of that, and that is no fun.
Yeah, so we were seeing it both on the tourism side and on the municipality side.
And we haven't submitted our bill yet for the therapy we're going to need.
For the alcohol.
Yeah,
We do appreciate it very much. I mean, did not go unseen.
we appreciate that.
Hopefully we can do snow this year and not have to.
Yeah, pray for snow.
Okay, moving on. Ruidoso Adventure Tours update. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Manager.
You talked about no video and whatnot. Ron and I had attended a City Managers Association meeting in Roswell. And Roswell did a presentation on, what they're doing, and they have an in-house videographer. And do we need to make some investment in equipment or software? And, what they did is they actually used some of their CARES money to purchase, software and, some of the hardware that they have for that. Do you guys feel that we have a need for that?
It would be nice.
Didn't we purchase a drone a few years ago?
We still have some CARES money set aside, Judy? So I
Well,
think we need
Parks
to
and Rec has a drone.
look at maybe the Parks Department and, with Jeff, and then what you all are doing to see if we can, maybe start creating some more video in-house.
Well, and I know with Parks and Rec having a drone, in the past, because Justin had all of his equipment, and so he would do a lot of that, but moving forward, we can definitely, we leaned on Rodney and his department when they got the Wibbit set up this year to get new footage of that, so we have that.
Yeah.
And
Is there software that we need? Is there other requests that you guys may have in regards to that?
no, one of the things we'll talk about in the upcoming, that Carrie will go into in terms of our budget for this next year, we talk about some of the videos we've already created for this year and then a plan for more. But I think that, we have some good local resources in both video and photography that we can lean on. But let us put our heads
Yeah.
together in terms of what we might need to do on that. But yeah, that would be good.
Do you want me to go into the last part of our presentation was the,
That's fine.
I just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay.
Kelly made a comment on the little video.
right, right,
The good thing though about both, so Reels and TikTok is it doesn't have to necessarily be as polished as if we were
Right.
trying to do a network
commercial.
commercial 4K video. So a lot of that can be done just on a cell phone.
And then a lot of, like, what you'll see when we show you here in a minute is we were able to get a commercial video done that we'll be able to use for media buys, or for other media buys through a media buy that we did. So, that's how we've been able to create, network-ready material. So, there are different and creative ways to do that other than having the actual equipment to go out and do it. So,
Yeah, and at some point in-house may make more sense. Right now, just with the opportunity that we have with the CARES money, that's how we purchased all this equipment.
right,
Conferencing equipment and whatnot.
right,
So if that is a possibility, just let us know. So we
okay,
can act on that on the village side.
okay, great. And the last part that I wanted to go over is just the media buy moving forward into the next fiscal. We kind of chopped it up into two different things. We did a co-op marketing program with the New Mexico Tourism Department. And what that is that we were able to go through and kind of look at a menu of items to apply for that they made available through the tourism department. And our approach to that Kelly and I took was to kind of look at the things that we would not have been able to purchase through our existing budget and that would kind of be on a wish list. And so we went through and how many items do you think there were total on their menu? Like maybe 20 or 25?
Yeah, and we filled out a survey to say what markets and what demographic and what types of advertising we wanted to do. And so then they pulled that together. So I'm sure there was hundreds other options, but they really targeted to
What we needed.
what we needed.
And so we went through and selected the items that we thought fit us the best. And to our surprise, they funded every single one of them. And so our total award that we got was $101,643. And that's what they put in, and then we matched that. And so we outlined here what each of those buys are. And we've got crowdsourced video and photo management, a video plus a still photo shoot. And so, Tim, that goes back to a buy that we'll end up on the other end of that with a video that we can use and along with still photos. Connected TV, a 3-month buy of that, which is like Hulu set-top boxes. Managed search, New Mexico Magazine, digital and social amplification package, programmatic digital display, Dallas out-of-home digital, West Texas digital out-of-home, Texas monthly print ad, which we had pulled back on that previously because of cost, and D Magazine and Dallas print ad, which also is a very costly print buy. And so we were able to do that, and then we had some flex fund awards that we applied for, which we used that to put towards the bus and transit advertising in Tucson. And we put examples of that behind in the following pages there, which you'll see, which those are actually, if they're not out on the buses now, they will be within the coming days. And so that was a big boost for us because it basically adds an additional $100,000 to our marketing program. And so I know that probably some of these that are listed here, you guys might have some questions on as far as what exactly they are. So I will stop here and let you if anybody has any questions on any of those.
While you're looking that over, I'll just add that in the past, we've been really selective of what we've applied for through the state because of their brand standards and having to use their logo, and it didn't always match up with our logo. But in the spring, they rebranded the New Mexico True brand and the guidelines. And so we're able to incorporate our actual Ruidoso logo with the New Mexico True logo, where we weren't able to do that in the past. And so that's part of the reason why we applied for a lot of these more expensive big ticket items that we hadn't.
And you can see on the buses, because it's not the scripty New Mexico True anymore.
Right.
I think it meshes, when they do that logo lockup, it looks, our logo does blend with it, and it doesn't, and before, when you tried to put our logo with that scripty,
Right.
it did not look good. So if there's no questions on that, if you turn to the next page which is it's got the highlighted media buy. This is our overall media buy, and we broke it down by category. And the highlighted buys are those that are the New Mexico True Co-op.
Okay.
And so I think we did that just to show you what that brings to our overall media buy. And so I won't go through that line by line, but that just gives you an idea of where we're going to be and what in that buy comes from the co-op buy.
That's great.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So with regard to the co-op, have we thought about, is there an opportunity to go to local businesses and say, hey, do you want to co-op with us? Because we've already co-opted here, and do some of these things that would target Ruidoso, but be a little more specific and let, some of the companies kind of piggyback on that and pay a little bit for that.
Some of the local the
Uh-huh.
local businesses?
Yeah.
So one of the things we are doing with the buyout of El Paso is we're going to use, for that out-of-home billboard, we're going to use that, part of that with some of our events. So if they've come and applied for lodgers tax funding, using that, so leading up to the Cowboy Fest, for example, they've come and applied for dollars through the co-op, so we're going to run an ad for that, or if there's other events like that we're going to utilize that. But in terms of, so you're saying, like, for example, your business, if you wanted to do, like, to partner with us, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so like if I wanted to kind of maybe have an axe throwing kind of focus, and then, but yet realizing that it has to fit in with the whole Ruidoso, New Mexico theme, maybe I'd pay a little bit of money and kind of leverage the money you all already have, and it lets some of us who maybe aren't involved in the events, a lot of us get goodwill and benefit from the rising tide that you all create, but at the same time, if I could create a really kind of a neat, catchy picture, or Sitzmark, or whoever it is, maybe there's an opportunity out there. I don't know. I'd be willing to look at it as a business owner.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to explore.
But if you are going to have an axe throwing competition weekend, let us know so we can advertise that. We'll promote that for sure.
Well, I'm leaning on Tim for the staff on that deal, so I'm waiting on that to hear.
Do we?
Say so you can practice.
I know. It is on the YouTube. Let me see.
Jeff, are you able to pull up the YouTube channel so that we can show them the
tourism.
the tourism one?
Give me 1 sec.
And then we'll, Kelly, do you want to tell them about the neighbors buy? And I've got the magazines in my
Okay, yeah,
car.
good. I was going to ask about that. So Carrie's going to go get a buy, so the magazine, actually, to show you guys and give you a copy. But back in the spring, we were approached by Neighbors Magazine, which is part of Las Cruces Magazine, and they were going to do an entire issue on Ruidoso. And so it's their July-August issue. So you'll see at the cover is Ruidoso, a bunch of the content inside of it, articles on the areas. And so as part of that buy, we ran a full-page ad talking about the adventure tours. And then, so it's on the tourism site. Yeah, that one. And then we also did a buy for, and it's that first video, the Discover Rio Doso this summer, the 1-minute one. So they came out and they did this video shoot. And so this is the minute-long version, and then I can talk about some of the others. So they came out, and you probably recognize some of our local models, but came out and they provided, we did a 1 minute, and then we have 2 different 30-second ones. And then they cut it up and did short little 15-second ones that focus on, one's like relax, one's activities, one's wildlife, and then one's Midtown. And then they provide them also in a vertical. So right now at the end of summer, we are running the 15-second versions for ads. So we have those running on stories, Facebook, Instagram. And then the 30-second versions currently we're using for, we have ads running on the El Paso NBC affiliate and on the Lubbock NBC affiliate during the Olympics. They had a special buy, and we were able to get a special rate for both of those. And so those are running right now. Yeah, so that was one way that, like Carrie mentioned, that we are utilizing, a buy and being able to repurpose it and kind of do a refresh on our summer commercial. And so then with the New Mexico True photo video shoot, we're aiming to do that in the winter so we can do a refresh on that commercial.
And we were able to take this video and at the end, put in the New Mexico True logo lockup and use that for the connected TV buy.
Okay.
So,
And that plays on what, like Hulu and? Okay.
in the set-top boxes, so. And that's our report.
That one looked great.
If anybody has any questions.
Thank you for all you guys did. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right, let me back up just a little bit. The Rio Doso Adventure Tours, is that going to be, who want to do this?
It was going to be me and Rodney, but I guess it'll be me and Sydney. And really what we just wanted to touch on was just to show you guys the marketing pieces that have been put behind it so that you could see all of the posters that had been done, the banners, how to enter, the People's Choice Awards. Sydney hit on the expos that Parks and Rec have done. You can see the social media boost that has been put behind it. Kelly, do you want to speak to the social media push that you've been doing
Yeah.
as far as advertising?
So as part of the budget that Lodgers Tax approved at the last meeting, we took some of those marketing dollars and are advertising the tours. And so we're targeting based off each of the activities and in the geographic, kind of our typical tourism target area. So we have specific ads running for each activity. So, the OHV, the biking, the horseback riding, motorcycle, based off those different events and activities, and then a general overall campaign. And that campaign we're using as a retargeting. So being that it is so app focused, you have to download the app to do it, to check in. We are getting weekly reports from the app company on which tours have people checking in at which spots. And so we're able to see, what activity has had more action, if you will, on the app than others. And so able to adjust, what we need to target on that.
And through the 20th, we've had 106 people complete the tours.
Okay, awesome.
And so we are able to track that. And then we are doing email marketing. So we've sent to our lodgers and our businesses and to our marketing list of that's 25,000 plus. And then the trail signs that you see, we have those. I'm not sure when Parks and Rec is going to get those up. I know they have them. They just got them at the end of last week. So if they're not up, they will be soon. And we'll have those at the beginning of each tour. And the message on those is, take a selfie here and then post it and tag us on social, and you get a chance to win a free t-shirt. And so that, is to encourage engagement. And then we just took some screenshots so that you could, see what it looks like on the Discover Ruidoso app and kind of how it walks you through it. And in the end, you get a completion badge. But we've done, what you have examples of here are, kind of the tour as a whole, but we've also done creative for each individual activity, I guess. So, we don't always lump it all in together so that, we can market it individually.
So Samantha and her team and then Parks and Rec did a lot of the legwork in terms of the app and getting it added and hours on that, so.
And lots of mapping, Samantha.
But this is an overview of just the creative side.
Yeah. So Sydney, I don't know if you have other stuff than what you had in your part to add from the logistical side of it,
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, we've pretty much covered it.
because I just pulled together the marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Samantha, do you have anything for the tours?
Did you want to touch base on the August event?
Yeah, so we have the August 21st event. We are actually doing that one in Midtown. We're working on blocking off that inside lane. So we can kind of take it, instead of Wingfield, bring the event through Midtown. We're partnering with the poker run for the motorcycle tour. So that's going to be at 10 o'clock, start off at the Elegante. They're going to do the actual motorcycle tour in Midtown. That's going to be a fundraiser for Berry Hill. And that's kind of going to partner with us. We're going to have the motorcycles out. We're kind of highlighting the motorcycles for that 21st event. Kind of, yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
Hopefully it won't rain.
Yes, please.
Just on that event,
Yes,
it's
sir.
actually, and that's kind of the beauty of the way that this, whole tours is set up, is that if other people want to create an event, and they could piggyback off of it, just like, for example, for the motorcycle rally that's coming up, that the Maldonado's put on in September, that gives opportunity for other people to go out, or the Parks Department to go out and do an expo and say, hey, if you enter our tour, then you get into this free sweepstakes. And so it promotes people to get out and participate in that. But specifically for that day on the 21st, with the fire department and several other people that are working on it, we're putting together this, it's basically a poker run where there's several of us that pay $500, and people get to play a poker hand to win that $500. And then there's going to be opportunity if they want to, make a contribution to, benefit Chris Berryhill. That's kind of separate, but at the same time, it's the run is coinciding with the same stops that the tour has. So they can enter the sweepstakes, they can do the poker run, and then they have an opportunity to donate to a cause. And, so The fire department has a site that they've already been promoting that event, and the last time I checked it, there was like 60 people that have already checked in, and normally there's 2 people on the bike, so, you're talking about 80 to 100 people already that are gonna be doing that tour on that day, and it just kind of grows, and, so, as Sydney said, we are gonna start at Legante, and then, there's what they call kickstands up at 10 o'clock, and then that's where everybody disperses, and they go and do the tour, and then they come back, and Mike's working with us as well, and we're gonna be stopping in Midtown and pulling the last, the poker hand would be pulled for the $500 that's been put up, will be pulled by 6 o'clock that evening. So it just kind of creates that activity, and it's something that you can continually build on. It's not just motorcycles, it's an all-vehicle run, so anybody can participate with that.
Cool.
That's great.
There's
Y'all have
also
any-
talks about, bringing some events back for the motorcycle rally and having like bike shows and whatnot, because, the motorcycle rally is all moved to the Downs. And so, there's groups that are talking about creating, events and bringing back activity to Ruidoso or Midtown. And, to make sure that we're bringing people back in, so.
Awesome.
Anyone have any questions?
Don't think so. Thank you, guys.
You haven't done your tour yet?
I'm about to, yeah. We're gonna get going. We haven't had a chance. Yeah, once we get a little break, I'll be heading out, so, for sure. All right, thank you for all that you've done on this. I'm excited to get going on it too, so. Okay, moving on, discussion and possible action, Logitech's funding request on web cameras.
I'll take that one for
Go for it.
Rodney. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Jeff Farguson with the Village IT Department. Several months ago, Rodney was wanting to put a webcam at Grindstone Lake, so people could see what's going on over there. We found out that they don't have enough internet bandwidth to actually support that right there at the dam house where he wanted. So I started looking at other solutions, and I ran into this company called EarthCam. And what I've got a proposal for is, and you don't have it in your packet, I was a little bit late, is replacing the existing downtown web camera with a much higher quality camera, putting one at Grindstone Lake on the dam that will look and be remotely controllable, so people can see what's going on at the Whivet or the fishing docks or the dam side or the beach or whatever. And also one on top of the convention center that would look primarily at Sierra Blanca, but also be able to be robotically controlled to look up and down the golf course. And over there's a lot of elk, horse, and deer traffic that come right through that field of view, so people would be able to check that out. So I'm not an expert, but I have one. Catherine Donahue from Earthlink is with us, and she's going to give us a little presentation, and I can answer any questions after that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. And I have my colleague Bill Sharp, who's joining us as well. He's really the brains behind the technology and everything. So anything technical that you guys would want to know about the camera, he's here to assist with that. But I can give you an overview as to a little bit about how EarthCam works and what we think we can do to partner with you guys and bring your really unique views to the world. So EarthCam, we're really an end-to-end solution provider. So we build the hardware, all the different cameras that we would get set up around your city and downtown at the convention center and the view of the lake. So we'd get that set up for you. We'd install it. Then we pull the stream back to our servers and we deliver to you an embed code that you'd put on your website. So if you want to put it at the Village of Ruidoso or, any other partners or anything that also wanted to share in the view or also benefit from the live stream, maybe the convention center has their own website, things like that. We provide embed code. Within that embed code on the live video player, there are some really cool tools. So not only do you see it live 24/7, people and your fans can engage with the content, take snapshots, share it via email, social media, and the video player lends itself to letting these images go viral and be shared among people. So getting ready to go down for the weekend, snap a picture and send it over to a friend or a relative, things like that. There's also a 24-hour playback, so you can see maybe how the weather was yesterday and things of that nature. So we provide all of that for you. But then in addition to the hardware and the streaming and the archiving and everything that's on your side, EarthCam builds a platform on our website. It's earthcam.com. And there we have the live streaming views, some copy about the city, about the village, about what's going on there. And we open that up to our network of fans and viewers, and it stretches across the world. We have hundreds of thousands of viewers regularly on our website, our social media channels between YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. We've got millions of views. So it really opens up your city to a whole new network of people where we show these views and promote. Our marketing team does a great job of getting to understand what's in view and what are the highlights. And then they talk about that not only to our fan base and on our social, but we take it a step further and we reach out to media. We have a lot of contacts in the broadcast networks and also, different platforms, blogs and what have you. So we'll do media alerts and kind of let the people know what there is to see and why they may want to feature it on the news or the weather broadcasts and things like that. And we'll work with you if you have anyone locally that you say, we're very close with the Fox networks, the NBC networks. We can work with you guys to make sure that they have access to those streams to show what downtown looks like every morning on the news and things of that nature. So that's the long and short of how EarthCam can work with you to get the hardware set up, show you the streams, and then help you get your view in front of a lot of different eyeballs. But I also wanted to open up to any questions you might have about what we do and why our service is unique.
This could be anybody. You guys have any questions? Go ahead.
So, hey, this is Mike. And so, the normal challenges you get with these cameras and things like that is the streaming and so forth. Can you speak to that for a second? I know you kind of mentioned some things technically, but, when folks pop in and take a look at it and things like that, do you have a certain percentage of the time that it's a good stream, and how does that work?
Sure, and that's a good question. So our company's been around 25 years. We've been doing this a long time, and so we know what it takes to put the right kind of hardware out there in the world. So the systems themselves are ruggedized and built for any kind of weather, and they're enduring in that way. And then as far as the stream, we have our technical support team that is always monitoring the camera stream. So they can kind of, the software that's built in is very smart, so it can reboot and self-heal and do a lot of stuff without needing people. But then as a second line of defense, we have a technical support team that can step in as needed. As a third line of defense, we can send technicians out to help with anything that goes wrong or goes offline, which is rare. But Bill can maybe even speak to some of that monitoring and such.
As soon as I unmute myself, I can. So, and as Catherine mentioned, a lot of that is automated. So we're monitoring continuously for the quality and the consistency of the stream. So typically we'll know when it goes offline before other people do, and take steps to recover that, up to and including if we need to reach out to you guys and ask for assistance. But a lot of times there's things we can do independent of that. And the other side of that is, perhaps a concern is, who's responsible for the heavy lifting of that. The streaming hosting is all done on our side as well. So we need one connection to that camera at your location to pull that stream into our infrastructure. And then our servers handle the rest of the distribution from there. So anybody else from the audience, from the greater world coming to see the camera, that burden is on our servers and our bandwidth and our infrastructure. So you don't have to bear any of that responsibility. That's just that one connection we need to pull the stream into our servers, and we kind of take care of it from there. So if there's 10 people looking or 10,000 people looking, it makes no difference to what happens on your side.
I noticed on one of the videos on your website, there was pre-roll that ran an advertisement. So with the embed code that would go on our website and like the convention website or others, are you guys going to be placing ads before the webcam, our webcam or the video stream starts?
No, so what we do is you'll get an embed code that's clean and free of any ads for your website. The page on earthcam.com does roll Google ads prior to the stream, and that's just kind of part of how we offset some of the discounts that we provide, but not on your site. That'll be totally clean without ads.
Okay, thank you.
So at the top of the conversation, we talked about the limited bandwidth. Help me understand how this works now. Is it a little bit of a delayed video, or how does that work? Does that make sense?
The current camera you have up right now?
Well, no, I think at the beginning of the conversation, we talked about putting a camera out there and then discovered we didn't have the ability, technology-wise, to be able to get it to stream. I don't know if it was lack of internet connectivity or what the issue was.
Yeah, we looked into putting the camera out at Grindstone, and there's basically not internet. Is that right, Jeff?
I'm sorry, one more time?
We were talking about how we weren't able to put a camera at Grindstone because there wasn't internet or there's not connectivity or strong enough connectivity.
Correct. Windstream is the only provider available right there at the dam site, and they only have, I believe what we're talking about here for webcam is upload speed, and it's like 3 megabits per second. So with their credit card traffic and adding a webcam on top of that, we weren't able to there's just not enough there to run it on conventional. So what I'm proposing to do is do a line of sight from the dam, from the water treatment plant under Grindstone Dam. They have the line of sight things. We have one in operation between the community center and the swimming pool right now that will actually take the better internet and shoot it up to the dam like a little line of sight antennas. And so that'll eliminate that at Grindstone Lake.
Yep, we have experience working with those point-to-point links as well, and the cameras are IP-based. So as long as we can just coordinate our efforts, whether you're providing that equipment or we're providing the equipment, we have experience with those in remote areas, say like the Grand Canyon and things like that, where we have to backhaul the signal to a location where there is significant bandwidth available. We've worked with those scenarios before, so quite familiar.
And I will just add that they went away. Something happened over there. That the webcam page of the Discovery Doso website is always, sometimes the first.
It is
It's like the
currently the first.
top visited page of our website. And anytime the webcam is down, we hear about it.
And in not nice
And not
ways.
always nice. So last spring or winter when it was down for, I don't know, a week or so, it was not great.
I remember when Becky brought in a couple years ago comments that people made when it was down for a day or two. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah,
People get really upset, so.
People get very, very attached to the ability to see what they want to see
They do.
on demand, right? We're familiar with that too. The nice thing is we really do have a high, online time, an upload time, so that it's rare. But listen, technology is what it is. So there are going to be times in which something can go wrong or go offline. It's rare, but it does happen. We can do things within our video player. For example, we can do like a 24-hour playback so that, something can pop up saying, please enjoy this recent clip while we work on getting the camera back online. Or we can do something that's, say, a best of. Maybe you have a really cool parade that runs through the middle of town and you want to play that while the video's down so they don't have nothing. Maybe a great sunrise, something of that nature. So we can work with you guys to have something show. And full disclosure, we're not trying to trick you, but we just want you to deliver some kind of content while we work to get this back online. So we have options with that too, because we do understand, we're doing this a long time. We know that people like to go and see what they want to see. So as a plan B of seeing it live in that moment, we can give them some other good content.
That's great, because I remember one time it was a guy like loading something in his trunk for about 5 days. So, no, that would be great. Have we talked about, I know last week in our Three Largest Tax meeting, Mayor Crawford discussed adding 3 other sites. One was at Alto Lake. And we kind of had mentioned like the backside is a beautiful view. What was the other one? Apache Summit, and we'd have to work with the tribe, obviously. And I know there was another one. I think he had mentioned 6 total. I can't remember the third site. Maybe, well, Tim stepped out, but. Oh, Swiss Chalet, that's right. There you are. Are those feasible, or
They perhaps,
or would that be more difficult?
I'm not sure that, I was thinking that, especially for like Swiss Chalet Hill and, well, actually Alto Lake, that one that was actually cellular signal powered and solar powered, kind of a self-contained unit that could be moved if we really didn't like it, would be, kind of the way to go on those 3 sites, but I need more information on where exactly. And,
Okay.
I haven't talked to the Earthlink people about those 3 sites,
Okay.
yet. I'm still kind of researching that. I didn't really get it with enough time to put anything substantial together on those other sites.
Okay. I feel like those would be awesome. They would be very, very important additions. I think this is great. I know that like Fox 34 in Lubbock, are they still using the webcam with us on weather reports?
The NBC is also out
Yeah.
of Lubbock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And having multiple sites is just an even bigger benefit.
And upgrading the camera that we have
Yeah.
in Midtown to 4K or to
Right.
whatever technology Jeff's talking about, that can be, and how they're talking about partnering with media. That is one thing that's sometimes frustrating with us, is that they don't always pull our webcam.
Right.
Because there are other webcams in town. And so from a tourism department, having these additional assets and additional cameras will not only help our web traffic, but also,
Well, I think having more, like when I did live in Lubbock years ago, they would pull it, and I think KMAC 28, Ron Robertson, the weatherman, and it was constantly, and it's a beautiful shot. I mean, it was constantly Midtown, but there's also times where there's nobody there at Midtown, and they're using it at 10 o'clock or what have you, and to have the ability to at 6 o'clock go to Alto Lake and have this sunset in the fall or
Right.
Grindstone or what have you, and give the news stations around here an option, especially in El Paso and West Texas. That the more the merrier, I think. And then think about the amount of tourists that would utilize, say, Swiss Chalet Hill, going to ski in the winter. Locals would use it trying to get home. Is it safe? So I would definitely look into, I think we had discussed last week the backside of Alto Lake. You can kind of imagine where you see the lake and then the mountain range, and then Swiss Chalet Hill, and obviously Apache Summit would have to be in conjunction with the tribe. But at least adding those other 2 would be beneficial, and then give news stations multiple options. So.
Catherine, do you guys have the ability for cellular and solar on your cameras?
We do. We have a few options. We never recommend cellular as a first line. We just know that a hardline cable is going to do better than a point-to-point or something of that nature as a secondary, Wi-Fi, things like that. Cellular will use a lot of data, so we can do it. We've done it. We have live streaming cameras set up. What we would recommend getting, because you're a municipality, maybe you could get an unlimited account. That might be better for you. We can do it. It's, you do run into potential data overages, though.
Would we have ability, I know we've, at Alto Lake, the building that, you have now on the, was it?
The old post office?
Yeah. Would that be an ability to then beam it? Or
If it's line of sight.
Line of sight, that's what I mean.
We could do that.
Okay.
And that would be similar to what the plan is at Grindstone Lake.
Right.
I did drive by Swiss Chalet the other day. It seems like on the building, there's no good place that would show what people would be wanting to see. There's a utility pole that probably has internet on it right there. But then again, I wasn't really sure what the mayor or the administration wanted to see from those places. I'd kind of like to do a little more, research to find out we want to put a camera right here.
Right.
Or talk about the possible places where cameras could be put to deliver that hard line.
Yeah.
It's just there hasn't been enough time to look at those
Right.
yet.
I would be all for just,
There may be other opportunities at Alto Lake as well, so.
yeah,
We'll take a look at that and.
move forward with these three, and then as soon as you have an idea, we can move forward again.
Demo. Catherine, can you pull up, or recommend a good demo earth cam that I can show?
Yep, and the other thing I was gonna mention was that for the robotic cameras that are out kind of in more of your scenic views, we have AI technology built into the cameras. So you're talking about like capturing a great sunset or a sunrise. The cameras are built to follow the sun and track the sun, so you're always gonna get it. Then we can pull back those clips every day. And, for example, we could say, the camera's going to know to go to the sunset every day, but we can pull that back, make a great time lapse, and shoot that over to you guys so you can use it on your social. Get it out on your Instagram or something like that, like a quick little video. But it's really cool because the cameras are smart enough to follow the sun, and we know those are really popular among viewers to capture sunrises and sunsets.
Could you share one? Could you share something with us? Maybe some footage you have?
Yeah, I could. I was gonna say if you wanted to pull up the San Diego Harbor Cam, that's a really nice one. It's robotic. It's similar to the one that we quoted in the proposal. So it's a dome style camera. It can move 360, and it has the ability to capture really large panoramic images too. So if you've got a lot of these views where there's like a variety of things to see, a really nice vista, it's going to capture the entire thing in a really large panoramic image.
San Diego Harbor Cam, you said?
That's a nice one, yep. The Grand Canyon is also nice. You don't see as much movement there because naturally it's the canyon, but that's a really nice quality view, and we get a lot of really great sun clips out of that one as well. I would recommend the San Diego, and then I have some fixed position cameras that I could show you, and that's the one that we would recommend putting downtown, because you'd want really kind of a wide angle view that's just set up on the shot. So you get the street and all the shops, but I don't think you'd want that to move around too much because the nature of that shot, people kind of want to go and see exactly that one angle of the street, as opposed to the more scenic views. People like to see the different areas and the mountains and the valleys and things like that. That's what we found.
Is this San Diego Harbor Cam movable?
That is. So that's one of the robotic cameras. The way we have the camera set up is that what we do is called scripting. We set up some preset rotations. Like we want to look at the street view, we want to see out into the harbor, we want to see the boats. We script the camera to go from shot to shot at a really nice slow pace, so it's like a nice visual tour of the area. And it does that throughout the day. It moves to different shots. It can be as quick as 30 seconds. It could sit there for 15 minutes, depending on what happens in the area. We sit with each of our clients, understand what's happening there, and then set up the camera to move smartly to capture all those spots at the right times.
That's a little clearer than ours. When you see the traffic on, Discover Ruidoso, I mean, it's insane, and it's incredible, and this gives us another leg up.
Another cool one, and it's going to be different than your landscape, of course, but the Empire State Building camera. We work with them, and we have a few cameras set up there, but that gives you a good idea of the quality and the detail that you can see. It's kind of a hazy day out there in New York City, but still you're able to see a lot of detail. And so now granted, that's a cityscape with a lot of buildings and such, but still you're able to see a lot. So in a place like yours where we're looking at more of a landscape, it's really going to capture like the beauty of the area, the colors, and we make sure that the cameras are optimized, with all the right different settings and saturation and everything, so that it all really comes to life as well as it can over the camera. And these are 4K streams.
Hey Jeff, can you go to like the Grand Canyon, because that would be kind of a similar outdoor colors and.
Sedona, we have a bunch of cameras in Sedona. Those are really nice as well. Some of them just look at the red rocks. Others look down at the traffic circle and things like that. Those might be the most similar to yours.
It's nice. Judy, do we have a cost on this yet?
You guys want to see some more?
That's great. I mean, I think we're good now, so.
One more.
Wow, yeah.
All right.
Perfect. All right. Samantha, do we have a project cost for a,
He has an estimation, but
Okay.
it sounds like he needs to gather more details, and
Okay.
we're just wanting a little direction. People are interested in this product, and we can continue putting together.
there's not really any action needed to take
No,
today, just
I'm
kind
not
of,
sure how much-
okay. What would be the time frame? I mean, if we want to get this up, at least the first three, and then you can explore, just the next two sites, and what would be the time frame for the first three cameras? Turnaround time, or?
Depending on when you guys are ready to proceed, we can typically have the cameras shipped out within a couple of days. And the installation can take place, what we'll do is a pre-installation site survey. And what that means is prior to having the tech come out with the equipment and ready for installation, we'll have a technician meet you on site, walk the area, make sure everything's teed up to be successful. Sometimes they'll advise on, I would prefer to mount on this pole versus this roof, or the roof is set up. Maybe a 10-foot pole would be better than a 5-foot pole, things of that nature. So we have the technician walk the site, go through a checklist, understand that the cable and the power, everything's ready to go so that we're teed up for a successful install. Once that site survey, that pre-installation site survey is completed, we get all the notes, we formulate a plan, make sure that the proposals are exactly what they need to be and include all the different mounting equipment, and then we'll ship it out. And we can usually, after that, install within, say, a week's time.
Do we have an estimation on cost?
Yes, sir. 23,450 installed with a year of hosting included.
And that's for three cameras?
That's the first three.
Okay.
Grindstone, Midtown, and Convention Center rooftop.
Okay.
What's the recurring cost?
Catherine, can you talk about the reoccurring costs that the village would incur, the Lodgers Tax Committee would incur?
Sure. So what we did was, for the proposal, we bundle it up to make it like a buy one, get one half off type of package. We always like to scale up with you guys. The more cameras that you want to purchase, the better we want to do on pricing for you. So it would be standard $250 a month, which includes the streaming, the hosting, the archiving, the imagery, the access to technical support, the marketing services. All of that is just a flat fee, and we give you all those services for it. And that would continue throughout the term of the agreement. So it's all bundled up as the first year, and then upon month 13, it would be the monthly charge that kicked in.
Okay.
And that's per camera?
Yes, we did a half off of the second. So in this case, it would be 125 for the second camera. And the third one, and I don't know if Jeffrey got into the details of this, we were running a free camera promotion, so I bundled that in. So really, you're getting 3 cameras, but the third camera, called the Solstice Cam, that would go downtown. That's entirely free of charge.
Okay. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. Just for our location with news stations around here, if we were sitting in the middle of Colorado, you're probably not going to get Denver stations doing it all the time. But, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, San Angelo, Abilene, it will, I think it'll more than pay for itself, especially marketing-wise. And the amount of traffic, like I said, if you could always email us the stats, but it's pretty eye-opening.
That's another thing. We do provide you analytics reporting on a quarterly basis or more often if needed. So you'll get an idea of the engagement on the cameras, how many viewers, spikes in traffic, the demographics and things like that, just so you have a little bit of an idea. Many clients use their own, analytics on their own websites as well, but this is just a supporting tool. So if you notice that on a certain day, First Fridays or something, there was a spike in traffic, maybe you want to do some outreach to make sure more people are engaging with the content then. It's really a good report for your social media or marketing arms.
Okay.
You had 171,000 on just that page last year.
Great. Yeah.
And I will
I
add that we don't have, we're not currently getting, we have the analytics on our website, but we're not getting any analytics from the current hosting platform in terms of views or anything, and we do not have the archive or the playback or any of
Right,
this.
and we've had, there's, compared to a couple of years ago when it was the only show in town, there are a few more now
Yeah.
competing, and so
Right.
this one, upgrading and everything, doing this, I think these numbers will get back up, because they are down from where they were.
Yeah.
But, they're still big, but
Right.
they're way down from what they used to be, but I think this will help boost it back up.
Mr. Chairman?
Sir.
Jeff, when you put that proposal together, would you show us what the existing cost to maintain what we've got is, so we can kind of compare apples to apples?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, do you all want to move forward on this, or do you want to bring it back?
I would move forward on this. Rather than, we could, I don't know how you want to do this, if we want to have a special meeting at some point to approve it once it's finalized, or if we want to just go forward and.
We could handle it either way. You can call for a special meeting, Mr. Chairman, if you had a little
Okay.
unforeseen costs. If there's
Okay.
consensus on it, we can move forward with administratively as well.
Judy, would we go with approving 30 just for any unforeseen cost, 25? Or would you feel better just holding a special meeting and once we have all the costs prepared?
pretty hard numbers?
Catherine, the numbers that you quoted me, we're locked in for at least 30 days on those quotes, all right?
That's right. Yep.
Why don't you approve an amount up to?
Okay. Up to that,
It's not on the agenda for approval, Judy, that's the problem.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Let's just,
you're gonna have to bring
we'll do a special, yeah, we'll do a special.
Mr. Chairman, I think the other thing I'd like to see is just the financial impact. I don't see a statement here. I don't know where we're at. I've heard some comments with regard to what we have in the bank account and that kind of thing, but for me, it sure be nice to be able to see how much do we have available, what do we anticipate coming up in the next 12 months? And I know you all have been doing this longer, so you have a better handle on it, but that sure be nice to see at every meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Catherine, you said that your tech would come out and do a site visit.
We know.
And there may be some changes to the cost after the site visits complete. How do we engage you to actually get that first assessment complete?
Sure. So with commitment to proceed, that's all included in the proposal. It's a $495 value that we include free of charge when each client commits to purchasing the installation services. If you said, you know what, I'm not ready to proceed, I just want to do the pre-install site survey first, that would be a $495 charge. some clients choose to do that first, and just to make sure everything's teed up for success, we could then credit that back if you wanted to proceed with the full proposal. But if you wanted to do that first, we could get that order placed, send a check out, run through everything, and you know, if all looks good and you want to proceed, we could just roll that back later into the account. The only thing that we could potentially foresee, sometimes technicians will find something like, you know what, we thought there was cable there and there isn't. So you, as you know, the city would need to go ahead and run it and things like that. The installation services include getting the camera up and online, whatever mounting equipment we include in that, but extra things like, you know, say running cable or something that's not part of that fee. So those are your options. But if someone from town has went out to each site and kind of confirmed it all, we should be pretty secure in the knowledge that the sites are ready for an install, but it can't hurt to do that. Like I said, it's included free of charge in the full proposal. If you wanted to parse it out and do that first, we can charge you and then credit it back.
I'd recommend that we do the site assessments and then come back to the lodger's tax board with the full
Yeah,
cost.
because this doesn't include, I mean, when you say beaming out at Grindstone, for example, would you need additional equipment for that? Possibly.
I included that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what EarthCam charges for it, but I found one that's pretty highly rated that
Okay.
I think will work, and it's in that.
And it's, yeah, I noticed, okay. So I would just say as soon as you have a definite idea and definite plan of action to move forward, we'll call a special meeting and move
Mr.
forward
Chairman?
at that point. Yes, sir.
With regard to, I don't know, Samantha, if you're the one to ask on open meetings and that kind of thing, how much time do we need to post an agenda before we?
72 hours.
So how many days is that? I can't, my math is no good.
3
So
days.
3 days. So we could just do a quick audio meeting, couldn't we? And whenever we get that stuff together and do that, just for this purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for answering our questions, showing us, and it's a wonderful product. It's beautiful. So I think it'll enhance the beauty of our area as well. And we look forward to working with you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Us as well. Please let us know if any other questions come up. We're happy to help.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thanks, everyone.
If I may, we have Mr. Paws here with us today. He had previously been working with our tourism director on getting on the agenda and wasn't in communication with me, so he's not on the agenda. I apologize for that.
No problem.
But he does have a time-sensitive request for you all, and there's a line item that you had mentioned earlier with special events that's already budgeted. So if you all do want to recommend that I proceed with working with him, I can do so, even though it's not on the agenda. But Delner, would you like to explain your request to the Lodgers Tax Board?
Yes,
If you'll come to the microphone and,
I'm such a loud mouth, I didn't.
I can hear you there.
I've visited with some of you folks in previous years.
It's good to see you again.
Yes, thank you. And we're permanent residents, have been for several years now, and we've really enjoyed the Ruidoso area. And it's very informative to come in and sit in on things like you folks have presented today. It's too bad that the general citizenry can't come in and view what you do and find out all the things that you do for the community. For the past 27 years, I've hosted, along with some other folks, a college golf tournament that's really had a lot of success. Many players have gone on and played in the PGA, the Ryder Cup, the U.S. Open, the British Open, a lot of major events, and it's a really, really nice event for the community. We have teams coming from New Mexico, of course, Arizona, Colorado, Kansas, and Texas, so we have a good geographical representation. And we usually have between 75 and 80 in that area of players come in, along with the coaches, administrators, and family members and fans and things, and people of that nature. So what we're asking is for some help with a couple of items that indirectly are advertising for the Ruidoso community. We're asking, and did you distribute this that I sent you?
No, they do not have it. So if you'd like to read it to them, that would be.
Oh, I've got it here. I can leave it with you. But what we're asking for is $600 for awards, which has Ruidoso, and the tournament is at the links and has that information on the awards, and scoreboards for the team scoring that we have. And then in addition to that, we in the past, at the past tournament, we didn't have it last year because of COVID, but we had T-shirts for all of the participants and coaches that were coming in. And the numbers that I have this year, 102 shirts for $10.70 a shirt, for a total of $1,091.40. Of these two items, the awards is the most important. So if the funding's not available for the other, well, we certainly understand. But this is, like I said, we've had 27 years that we've been doing the same event, and it's a really nice function for the community, and certainly for the college and so forth. I haven't been in a car wreck or in a fist fight. I happened to go to the dermatologist yesterday. So, any other questions? Anyone?
What's the date?
It's may I pass these out or have them
Oh, for sure.
passed
Here,
along?
here, Carrie can. She'll pass it out for you.
Okay.
Ron.
The dates are September the 25th, 26th, and 27th. I'm sorry, I should have, this is backwards. I should have passed those out. I didn't know where you had those. And I didn't know where I had enough for everyone or not, but.
Mr. Chairman, has the Lodgers Tax Committee funded this in the past?
We have.
Thank you.
We have, yes, sir. And this is one of the reasons why Judy set aside
Yes.
in the budget events that would, that we weren't sure because didn't know if we'd be able to have it this year. So, and we do have the funds available.
Where do you hold this event? Where do you play it?
Ma'am,
Where do you play this event at? Where's it
at the links.
At the links, okay.
Yes, the links at Sierra Block. It's been there almost since the links was open.
Great.
We've had it here, yes.
We have funded this each year.
Okay.
They've held. So. Do we have if there are any questions, feel free. And if not, do we have a motion to approve? Let's see, 1,600, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Since it's not on the agenda, you can just provide me direction and I'll work with him and
Okay.
we'll get it.
Okay.
Just do it that way?
Yeah, maybe
All right.
bring it back at this point.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
So you'll work with him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
let's go ahead and do that. And then we can approve.
And Samantha will be my contact.
Yes, sir, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much, folks. And
Good luck.
thank you. It's been very.
Good weather.
Thank you. It's been very interesting sitting in on the presentations this morning. I've just recently, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Just recently, my wife and I have been together 67 years, and I've been a coach for 65 of those. And we've written an autobiography about our life in sports in West Texas and some in New Mexico. And I've got some flyers over here. I'll leave at the table in case anyone's interested. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you so much. All righty, Carrie, we'll go back 2021 meeting. I know you touched on it. Was there a action item?
We need the approval from the Lodgers Tax Board for the $400,000
Okay.
on the overall media buy with the matching of the $101,643,000 for the co-op. That's included in the $400,000.
Okay. And that's what we budgeted for back in
Yes.
the budget meetings, so. So this is basically just rolling in the co-op.
Correct. And I know, Samantha, there was y'all are doing it a certain way and Judy, right? You're doing it a certain way to, like, from the general fund or whatever, so that it works better.
If you give me all the documentation or your notice of grant award, whatever, I'll do the,
She has it. Samantha
figures.
has it all.
now, are we going to be applying for reimbursement or will you all?
No, the
Okay.
village.
Village, okay, cool.
Yes.
But you all submit the documents to them.
So some of it, the state will invoice us, and so we'll have to pay for it. And then on some of them, the two Tucson line items, we pay for that, and then we'll have to apply for reimbursement. Because they're two different things, correct? Yeah.
So we're gonna just set those three up as separate vendors, the state, Phoenix, and Tucson.
No Phoenix.
I'm sorry, so Tucson is already set up as a vendor?
Yeah, because we did them last year.
They've done that before.
So it's just a regular advertising grant like you've always gotten in the past where we.
Correct. Yes.
So someone have fun making a motion.
I'll move approval.
How do we state that?
Let's see, I'm trying to think, make a motion to approve the,
Acceptance
Of-
grant with a corresponding match
Yeah.
X amount of dollars. Whatever the figures are, and it's
What are the figures?
101,640, let me see, I think it's 101,643.
So moved.
I make a motion to approve the grant with the corresponding dollars of 101,643 for the media buy for the agency.
do we have a second? Which we
Yeah, I'll
did,
second
yes.
it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Question or thought, just as I'm going through doing what I do on a daily basis, there's I guess, a negative vibe, or whatever you want to call it right now, in Ruidoso with regard to people coming to town and businesses being closed on Mondays and Tuesdays and that kind of thing due to lack of staffing. So as we're building marketing and thinking about that, we may not be able to act quickly enough because the summer will be coming to an end. People will theoretically start coming back to work a little bit in the fall, we're going to need less people at that time anyway. But the point is, if we're doing some marketing and thinking about a way to say we are open again, or we're open again for 7 days, or whatever it is, it's out there. That's an issue that we're facing.
So I've been monitoring that. There are some other, obviously everywhere across the country is having the same issue. And so one of the things that Carrie and I were going to talk about this week was kind of putting together a campaign of like, please be patient. Your wait time might be longer at a restaurant. I've seen other communities, Crested Butte, for example, do it, and some others. And so it's almost just like, remind everyone, we're all human here, and we're doing the best we can. So,
Also
to
in
that point, there might
conjunction
be
with that,
something.
when I first stepped on lodger's tax, and you'll remember this, at that time, what was it, the marketing budget was like 65%. I mean, it was huge, and the infrastructure budget was tiny. And we keep getting bigger, we keep dwindling the marketing a little bit and increasing the infrastructure. And so, I know it's irritating right now that, for example, Schlotzsky's is closed, or typical restaurants, our guests come back and, how come there are tables way open and they're not seating people? I get that, and I think that with the village really focusing on workforce housing, hopefully that will alleviate a little bit of it. But we've also, 5 years ago, it was all come here, come here, come here, and there was no investment in infrastructure. And so that's going to continue this year. You'll see that it's more event-based, grindstone, getting these outlets rather than just constantly, and that gives us a leg up on a lot of places because there are things to do that don't require a lot of staffing. But I do understand in Midtown and restaurant-wise, that is a massive concern. But see, moving on, agency, and obviously Rodney's not here, but trail maps and disc golf maps.
And honestly, do you have that? Because Rodney was running with that. I know that the quote that we got was like $5,000 for the initial run, and he was gonna run this part of it.
From what I understand, I think we had I'm speaking, just piecing together from what I've heard. I think we have the maps. I think we're waiting on like a requisition because Rodney's out. I and Melissa don't have access to the account kind of thing.
Was it for the $5,985?
Yes.
That should be ready.
Okay, then
So we just need approval.
Okay.
And what was the amount, Samantha?
$5,985 for 20,000 maps.
Okay. I think going forward, it would be good to look at possibly inviting stakeholder businesses to run advertisements. I could almost see where, like we're constantly, and I'm sure you are and Anna as well, if lodger's tax is paying for this and it's us on the front lines, and I mean, it's at least 3-4 times a day when people are checking in or walking into our office, if not more right now. Can we have trail maps? Can we have trail maps? And, I can see where if you're a local business, you could just come in and swoop in and take all of these for your own business, whether it's the tours, hiking associated businesses, what have you, and could just come in and just take all of them. So I think that if there was a way to offset the cost and say, hey, if you want to advertise in this, we can certainly provide you with more. But it's been hard in the last several years because as hiking and the trail systems become more and more and more popular, we're constantly, Becky, we were always over at the chamber, and as well as I do, that we would call and say, hey, we need more trail maps, and the demand is so high, and just with guests coming into the individual lodges, now if you combine that with businesses, we're gonna be running short all the time, and so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we would walk in at times and it's not anybody's fault, but, we were trying to get a few more, well, we can get 15 more and we're trying to spread them out and this kind of thing. And the demand is obviously there. And, you just don't want, if lodger's tax is going to pay for it, other businesses that could benefit from it kind of need to do their part too.
Sure.
But
Okay,
that's
we'll look
something
into
down
that.
the road as we get into off-road and mountain bike and everything like that. So just something to think about. But do we have a motion to approve, what was the total? $5,985 for an additional print of trail and disc golf maps.
I make a motion to approve the $5,985 for the trail maps.
Okay, Anna makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All righty. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, motion passes. Okay, Samantha, you want me to turn this over to you, the appointment of chairperson and vice?
Sure. Our last order of business is to, for this fiscal year, appoint a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So you'll want to start with make a motion to appoint the chairperson.
You want me to put someone on the
Or
spot?
reappoint.
Being the new guy, I'll appoint Alan. Sure. Or, make a recommendation.
Okay. This is the last go-around. I was sitting here thinking, I'm going to do to someone else what they did to me back in the day. Say, hey, guess what? So, okay. And do we have a motion?
Can I get a vote? All in favor of Alan
Roll
being
call.
the chairperson?
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, and vice chair, can I get a motion?
You want rock, paper, scissors for it? I'll make a motion to appoint Lori.
Second.
All in favor of Lori being the vice chair?
Aye.
Thank you all. That concludes your agenda today.
All righty, thank you, and this concludes today's meeting.